Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. So the Olympics has gone completely and openly demonic, and whoever is in charge of this thing is rubbing it in the face of the world that they worship Satan and that they have now captured all of the institutions that once upon a time we may have trusted. In today's video, I want to do a bit of a deeper dive into the symbolic representation of what we are actually seeing here. Many may have missed this, but it is truly dark. So first, let's have a look at some of the scenes. We can see this cross-dressing homosexual dancing and putting on a show for your children compared with the top video, which was from the opening ceremony in Russia in 2014. And of course, we have the cross-dressing degenerates imitating the Last Supper, one of the most important and symbolic events in the Christian faith. One guy even had his right testicle hanging out, which I'm sure was a subtle piece of artistic brilliance, similar to the creation of Adam artwork by Michelangelo, where the subtle curve of Adam's finger that doesn't quite touch God's outstretched finger tells a story about man's relationship with God that is as old as time itself. And then of course we've got the cross-dressing homosexual groomers dancing with somebody's children, demonstrating to the whole world that they are in fact coming for your children, which they have said openly. This is progress, guys. This is the rotting corpse of almost a century of liberalism. And this is the enemy shoving the decline in our face. And the problem with this Western liberalism, where everyone is just allowed to do what they want all the time, and everybody is just constantly virtue signaling and everything is just totally fake, is that we have completely lost touch with goodness and with virtue. And if there's anything that history tells us, it's that oftentimes evil defeats good on the battlefield because the evil people are willing to go places that the good people could not even imagine. Jordan Peterson has talked about this at length. Guys, just before we get to the next clip, if you want to see this video go far and wide, please help me out by smashing that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Let's get back to it.
Unless you can think the way that an evil person thinks, then you're defenseless against them because they'll go places you can't imagine and then they win. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control. The meek shall inherit the earth. And I found out that the word meek, it's the translation of a word that meant something more like those who have swords and know how to use them but keep them sheathed. I thought, oh yes, that's exactly it. The world, those who have swords and know how to use them but choose to keep them sheathed will inherit the world. It's like, yes, exactly right.
You see, virtue is something that requires knowledge and it requires shame and introspection. Whereas evil requires that you are constantly at the mercy of your deepest and darkest desires and impulses. Desires that, make no mistake, reside within all of us. But just like a pet dog, if you don't train yourself to know wisdom and to know goodness and to anchor yourself towards that, then you'll just become feral. We see this on the micro level all the time with human beings individually becoming feral in whatever way, but also this happens on the societal level. If we don't have a strong emphasis on virtue in our culture, then our culture becomes feral. And when the culture becomes feral, the barbarians will sack the city because the defense is so weak. And this is exactly what we are seeing with the Paris 2024 Olympics. In fact, there probably could not be a better example of this. And let me explain why. Let's have a think about this from a slightly deeper level. Instead of, yes, there's trannies at the Olympics and the Olympics has gone woke and go woke, go broke, let's boycott it. That's all true, but it's actually much more sinister than that. So what is the Olympics? Well, in short, it's the celebration of human excellence. It's a thing that happens every 4 years where the greatest athletes from around the world compete on pure merit to see who is the best in their field. In theory, it should not involve any ideology. There are no DEI medals, just pure skill, athleticism, and talent, which is a total affront to the cultural Marxist, Satanist, postmodern worldview. And how about the roots of the Olympics? Well, it's rooted in Greek mythology, with Mount Olympus, the home of the Greek gods, where Zeus sat on his throne. The games were held in Olympia, which was a beautiful setting with a giant statue of Zeus, who is the king of the 12 Olympian gods. Now, the actual Olympic Games are said to have started in 776 BC, where the ancient Greeks held competitions in sporting events, as well as singing, music, and poetry. This is all actually detailed in Homer's Iliad and more. Over the years, the Olympics evolved and then devolved with the Roman Empire, and then came back to prominence, and it's still with us today, holding the same symbolism of truth, goodness, and beauty. Truth in the sense that the results actually speak for themselves, and we get to have a raw look at the highest representation of the ability of man. And beauty in the sense that these athletes are the most lucid representations of human beauty, being athletic specimens, the closest thing humanly imaginable to what an ancient Greek god in mythology may have looked like. Athletic, aesthetic, dynamic, disciplined, honorable, and the rest. The Olympian is the ideal physical representation of man, and it is how man can figuratively ascend Mount Olympus. And this actually creates order in our world because hierarchies are necessary, and representations of truth, goodness, and beauty actually structure our societies, with the ideal being the most high, which gives us a benchmark to strive towards and something that is just objective. The games also represent patriotism because it's countries sending their best athletes to represent them, and people are proud to do so. And this flies in the face of the transhumanist, borderless, melting pot dream of the liberal globalists, obviously. And so when we look at the degeneracy that they have imposed upon our culture, and when you look at the ideologies that have taken over our institutions, they are antithetical to truth, goodness, and beauty. They thrive on chaos and they dance in the burning ruins of civil society. These are people who want to obfuscate gender roles, sexualize children, decimate Christianity in favor of their own cult-like religions, uglify absolutely everything from architecture to art to people, and the list goes on and on and on. And so they've captured government institutions, cultural institutions like Hollywood and the music industry, as well as the media.
Yeah, yeah. Hang on, we can't hear you. Blossom, we can't hear you. Here, Blossom, we can't hear you.
Baby, your actions have to speak louder than words, because guess what? Not one black trans woman has taken the mic tonight. Not one black trans man has taken the mic tonight.
Yeah.
Show me.
Blossom,
Show me.
Blossom. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Blossom, you're a black trans woman. You have the mic in your hand. I've taken it and given it back to you. We want to hear from you. We have had trans people of color. We've had all people here, and you're welcome. But we are proud and happy that you're here. We're proud and happy that you're here. Yes, but remember, we're on our time constraint. All right. Thank you, Blossom, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's how anti-blackness works amongst people of color. That's what anti-blackness looks like. The erasure of black trans people.
All right.
I'm here, we're here in this room. Please give us that opportunity.
Blossom, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yes, I got it. There you go.
Beta bear.
The education system, which means your children's minds, most major sporting leagues bend the knee to it, and now this is like the pinnacle for them because of what the Olympics represents. People tune into the Olympics because it's very entertaining, but also because it's inherently very attractive for us to witness this showcase of goodness. It resonates with us on a subconscious level. So to have hundreds of millions of people around the world all tuning in to the Olympic opening ceremony, only to be confronted by cross-dressing men with their nuts hanging out, grooming children whilst imitating the Last Supper, is truly the most powerful and disturbing image I have ever seen of blatant Satanism.
It's not Celine Dion.
And just know, guys, that this is not a coincidence. None of it is. None of the occult symbolism that we see in Hollywood or the music industry is a coincidence, nor is this. It's very purposeful and sends a clear message. Why do you think they chose the Last Supper to mock? Well, because the Last Supper represents Jesus cleansing us of sin. It's a remembrance of what the Lord did for us and a celebration of what we receive in return. It symbolizes Christians being in communion with Christ, receiving his grace and forgiveness. And to desecrate this by openly sinning in the most egregious ways whilst mimicking the sacred scene of the Last Supper is meant to be as demoralizing an act as one can possibly perpetrate on the Christian faith. It's designed to invoke rage and anger in people who are still anchored toward the good, and to show that these people now have power over absolutely everything, including the Olympics, and this is the new normal. So they can do whatever they want, including having cross-dressing men grooming little children right in front of your face. And actually, there's even more symbolism going on in this whole Olympic Games ceremony than I even have time to cover, such as what the man in the blue represents, as well as the single rider on a pale horse, which is straight out of the book of Revelation. I mean, this stuff goes deep, guys, so be a deep dive for me, But if you guys actually want to see this, then I might ask Jay Dyer, the GOAT of symbolism, if he will come on the channel and do an explanation or just do a podcast together. So let me know if you'd like to see that in the comments below. So anyways, how should we respond to this? I liked what Bishop Robert Barron had to say.
This is Bishop Barron. You know, just a few days ago, I was in Indianapolis for the marvelous celebration of the Eucharistic Congress. 50,000 Catholics coming together to worship the Lord and celebrate the real presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. So I come from that experience and I come home and, you know, I love the Olympics. So I turn on the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. What do I see now? And it's in Paris, France, a city I love. I spent 3 years as a doctoral student there. What do I see but this gross mockery of the Last Supper? And I won't describe it any further. Just go online. It's gone viral. You can see it. But this, France felt evidently, as it's trying to put its best cultural foot forward, the right thing to do is to mock this very central moment in Christianity where Jesus, at his Last Supper, gives his body and blood in anticipation of the cross. And so it's presented, though, as this gross, sort of flippant mockery. France, which used to be called the eldest daughter of the church, Paris, that gave us, Thomas Aquinas taught there, and Vincent de Paul was there, King Louis IX, St. Louis, France that sent Catholic missionaries all over the world. France, whose culture, and I mean the honoring of the individual and of human rights and of freedom, is grounded very much in Christianity, felt the right thing to do was to mock the Christian faith. You know, a question I would pose, we all know the answer to it. Would they ever have dared mock Islam in a similar way? Would they ever have dreamed of mocking in this gross, you know, public way a scene from the Quran? As I say, we all know the answer to that. I think, folks, what's interesting here is this deeply secularist postmodern society knows who its enemy is. They're naming it, and we should believe them. They're telling us who they are. We should believe them. But furthermore, we Christians, we Catholics should not be sheepish. We should resist. We should make our voices heard.
So I would say we absolutely need to push back. I would say that a boycott is necessary. And make your voices known. Get on social media. Tag the people who were responsible for designing these opening ceremonies. Send some emails. Share this video. Whatever you've got to do. And it's just such a shame that this comes at the expense of the athletes who have dedicated their lives to mastering their crafts and wanting to represent their nations. But also, don't be too demoralized by this, guys, because these things are not going unnoticed. There's a lot of pushback happening. And I do believe that the cultural pendulum is swinging. So they can rub it in our face all they like, but it is not our judgment that they have to worry about. And so as much as the narrative on Twitter and other places at the moment is that Christians are weak, Christians need to stand up, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe we should do more, but also I'm pretty happy that we're not bombing movie theaters or concert halls, or we're not going and killing innocent civilians, or we're not going and acting like rabid animals on the street doing stupid protests, burning the American flag or something like that. We're actually better than that, and that makes me proud to be a Christian. And all these sorts of events actually do is just fill me with conviction in the faith, and it shows me that we are on the side of the good. And we are recruiting. So let's go, guys. Christ is King, whether they like it or not. So Christ is King in the comments. And also, guys, don't forget to check out the reality-based store. We've got plenty of cool designs with Bible quotes, as well as many other designs. All my socials are going to be below if you guys would like to subscribe to the channel if you're getting value right here. If you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.